Hi, my name is Jim Tobin. I'm president of Taxpayer Education Foundation, here to talk about the gold standard in taxpayer abuse, the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, IMRF. IMRF is touted as the model pension plan. Of course, that judgment is from the same government bureaucrats who continue to raise our property taxes by large margins to cover their own 24-karat gold-plated pensions. Illinois property owners were taxed $933 million in 2016 alone to cover these municipal pensions. That means that for every dollar government employees put into their own retirement, taxpayers were forced to pay through their property taxes $2.46. And that doesn't include Social Security payments we are forced to make for nearly all the government employees in the IMRF. That's right, they get two pensions, municipal pension plus Social Security pension. For many IMRF employees, taxpayers are forced to pay 15% of the employees' wages for both IMRF and Social Security pensions. Those of us in the private sector fund our Social Security pensions entirely with private money. Illinois is bankrupt, and government employee pensions are to blame. The promises made to government employees are not reasonable now, nor were they when they were made by incompetent politicians. Bloated pensions were a way to attract people to government jobs in lieu of comparable wages. But now government employees enjoy larger paychecks than their private sector counterparts. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that all level of government employees made more than private sector employees. The overall average salary of $44,600 per year for private sector employment pales in comparison to government employee salaries, which average $51,840. Government employee total compensation far exceeds private sector rates. Benefit pensions are all but eliminated in private non-union roles. So they get paid more salaries than us, they get pensions, state pensions, local pensions, that we don't get at all. And their salaries are higher than private sector people. It's unconscionable that taxpayers are forced to fund an annual pension of $323,000. But that's exactly how much Edward A. Anderson gets from his taxpayer-funded IMRF pension. Assuming he lives a normal lifetime, that pension will accumulate to $6,515,000. Mr. Anderson only paid about 5% of that payout into his own pension, less than 1 year's worth of pension payments. Elizabeth Kuska proves that retiring early surely has its benefits if you're a government employee. She retired at the age of 55, and her current annual pension is $261,000 a year. And her estimated lifetime payout is $5,841,000. Ms. Kustra paid a total of $160,000 into her own pension. That's $100,000 less than this year's pension payout alone that she received. That's basically about it. Of course, we've been supporting pension reform for years. I'll take any questions you might have. Well, the
obvious one is that since the Supreme Court has already rejected pension reform, how does the state fix the problem?
Well, they better do something soon, because the tax revolts, this country is built on tax revolts. America was founded as a taxpayer revolt. And there were continual taxpayer revolts in this country throughout the centuries. So they better do something soon, or they'll face a taxpayer revolt. Or more and more people will leave Illinois. And there'll be less people to fund the pensions, and the pensions will collapse. These pensions can't be paid. They will be collapsed. They will collapse, and unless they're cut. So it's in the benefit of the people who get these pensions to have the reforms made, because at least they'll have something.
Is bankruptcy the one way for the state to get out of this?
We're already bankrupt, but they can't claim bankruptcy because the federals will not let them do it. I say we're already bankrupt because last year they raised the pensions. I mean, they increased our our income tax by $5 billion a year, and all of it went to pensions. When Quinn was governor, he raised taxes, income taxes, $30 billion. All of that went to fund the pensions. They had $16 billion this past year they couldn't pay in current bills. They had to borrow that money because they didn't have any extra money after raising our income tax $5 billion. Now, the other solution, of course, is coming from Mr. Pritzker. He and his friends, sponsors of the income tax increase amendment, State Senator Biss, yeah, Biss, he's the one. And if you take a look at SJR CA 16, you'll see it's sponsored by Democrats, and I don't see any Republicans in there. So Mr. Pritzker has stated publicly he wants to raise the income tax as soon as he becomes governor. Again, the flat rate income tax. Then, over the next several years, he will work in Springfield to get a graduated income tax increase, which would, of course, provide a graduated income tax for Illinois, which would be another income tax increase for the middle class and the affluent and the rich. So that's all Pritzker has, and that's all the Democrats have. More tax increases. That will result in a revolution in Illinois, or more of us will leave the state every year. Last year, 33,000 of us. There was a net loss of 33,000 taxpayers leaving Illinois. And we've led the country. We've had net loss of over 100,000 taxpayers in the past 4 years. So 4 years in a row, we've had a net loss of taxpayers. So they need to fix this problem. Mr. Rauner, on the other hand, give him credit for opposing the graduated income tax, but he should have done more to stop that income tax increase last year. He really should have. So I'm not happy about that. And also, Mr. Rauner can't make up his mind whether or not pensions should be cut. I wish he would make up his mind. Mr. Pritzker, on the other hand, thinks pensions should be raised and fully funded with massive income tax increases. And he's supported by the Democratic Party in Illinois, led by Mr. Madigan, who created the problem to begin with in 1970. Madigan and Cullerton, the Senate Majority Leader, were both delegates to the 1970 Constitution. And that Constitution is a horrible Constitution for taxpayers. The 1870 Constitution was much better for taxpayers than the 1970 Constitution, which brings us this problem with the pensions as well as home rule taxing powers, which are bad.
Is that the answer then, changing the Constitution?
Yep, or leave.
And how likely?
Change the Constitution, leave, or revolt against the state. Those are the options.
What form does the revolt take? How does that happen?
Well, in 1977, I started a property tax revolt in Crook County. Over 100,000 people refused to pay their property taxes months after the deadline. County board then cut property tax for homeowners by $80 million.
You mentioned that Browner and Pritzker, I mean, it is an election year. Is anything likely to happen in an election year?
Yeah, I think we could get rid of 5, 10. If we can get rid of 5, 10, 20 of these bloodsuckers, candidates for state senate and state rep in November, that would really help. That would really help. And if the Democrats lose 5, 10, 20 members, tax raisers, that would really help. That would be the best thing that could happen. But if Pritzker gets elected governor in November, that'll be a bad sign. It'll be a time for someone to start looking for a home in another state, because it's not going to be a good thing for taxpayers if Pritzker and his friends in the Democratic Party sweep the election in November.
But Illinois doesn't tax retirement income, right? So isn't that a reason to stay, or more specifically not to move?
That's one of the, I think, about the only good thing about Illinois. The state of Illinois does not tax retirement income, but the federals do. You have to pay the federal income tax on retirement income. But we have the highest property taxes in the nation. We have an income tax that's been raised several times the past 10 years under Quinn and under Rauner, although he did veto the income tax increase last year. We need to, but one thing is for sure, unfortunately, we know when we go around the state showing people these pensions, they don't know. they don't realize that these government employees are getting these pensions. We went into Mr. Harris's state rep district last summer. These gentlemen did, and the taxpayers just were totally unaware that these pensions are being paid.
Mr. Harris introduced a retirement bill to tax retirement income.
Yeah, and he also voted for the income tax increase, and that's why he's not running for re-election.
So the
Taxpayers chased him out of office.
So can you talk a little bit about how IMRF is a little different? I mean, are they in any worse shape than the teachers' retirement or the General Assembly Retirement Fund? Or where do they stand?
Well, they like to brag about how well they're doing, how well funded they are. In fact, funded ratio is 88.9% last year. We don't have their new numbers yet, but these 88.9% funded. However, they do that by raising property taxes without referendum. They have special legislation passed in Springfield to allow property taxes to go up without a tax increase referendum. And so that's one of the main reasons why our property taxes are going up, because municipal pensions are paid with property taxes, city property taxes, and of course some county taxes as well. Counties are part of IMRF as well.
So if the answer was revolt, but that's just the short-term answer, to lead to changes, those changes would be what? How would you get something that the courts would uphold? Changes to?
Changes to cut the pensions.
Yes, but how?
Amendment.
It would have to be a constitutional amendment.
Okay.